My husband, Dan, he just had a joy for life, a joy for Jesus. We both lived a simple life. We enjoyed, simple things, and our family and our home, and he was well loved. If you met him, he was instantly your friend. I was blessed to be a full-time wife and mother, and he totally supported that, which was awesome. Dan and his Magnificent Seven, he called us. Dan was in good health, and he loved to exercise and lift weights, and there were really no symptoms beforehand to warn us that anything like this was going to come upon us. But then the day that we did find out, it was Monday Night Football. It was a normal Monday night. It was December 6th, 2004. And then I heard him fall in the living room. And I said, Dan, are you okay? And I heard him moaning and groaning. And then I saw him get up and go back to our bathroom. And I thought the flu had hit him or something like that, and it just happened that quick. So I finally got him to urgent care. And he was just having dry heaves and really, really awful. And once the doctor seen him, by that time he was even slurring his speech, so I thought he was having a stroke. I didn't know. And finally the doctor came in, he had the CAT scan results in his hand, and he said, there's a mass in his head. From the results of the MRI, the mass is probably a tumor. And they said that they couldn't schedule his surgery to, I believe it was the 17th of December. So the nurse came out and she ushered me out into the hallway, and she said, Dan is doing fine, the surgery is going well. They did take the bulk of the tumor out. At that point I didn't know how much it was. She says, and we sent it to pathology, and she says, but they did say it's malignant. And I was crushed and shocked at that point, because I thought for sure it was either going to be benign or an infection. The prognosis for someone that had the kind of tumor that Dan had was 6 months to 3 years most. There was a point, though, when we had our regular scheduled appointment with Dr. Tom, where we drove up, parked the car, and I saw his left arm go limp in the van. And I thought, uh-oh. And that's when Dr. Tom told Dan first, I think you only have about 90 days. Hearing 90 days, that was scary, because we thought we at least had 3 years. But weeks went by and Dan started to get better. Once we went over 90 days, then he called them bonus days. I'm on number 15 bonus day, and he kept a log in his day timer, and he rated each day as well. A+ day, OJ for overjoy days, golden days. He really found value in every minute of the day. I thought I could very easily pound my fist and say, and demand that he healed them. What good does it do that? You don't demand anything of God, But I didn't do that. I asked, left the results in his hands, but I thought, Lord, I don't know a finer man than the husband you gave me. And if he completed his works here on earth, who am I to hold him from the rewards, receiving his rewards of heaven? I mean, that's what we're all working for, walking towards, waiting on, hoping on. Sure, you hope your life goes into your senior years, and that's what kind of you expect, but your life could, as a Christian, you'd be called home at any time. As suddenly as we found out about the tumor, Dan was going along fine with it, but then he suddenly took a turn, and we had to put him into Villa Monte Vista, a rehabilitation facility, to try to get his pain under control. And he was only in there 2 weeks before the Lord said, this is enough, and I'm bringing you home. And I remember driving over there as fast as I can, saying, Dan, you better not die on me now without me being with you. So I went and I sat beside him. held his hand. I sang the benediction that we always sang every night to each other, made phone calls, and right after he heard his dad's voice and Dolores' voice, he breathed his last breath, and God took him home. And I remember it was only a few seconds after that that I realized Dan is seeing Jesus. And I leaned into Dan and I hugged him and I said, "Way to go, Dan, way to go, good job." Dan wanted to hear more than anything in the world, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." And I know he heard that. And I know he was well at that point. And I know he was so happy and experiencing such joy. I was so happy. Dan was a gift to me. I did not own him. The Bible says we are not our own. We were bought with a price. I got to borrow Dan for a while. I know I'll see him again, as well as a lot of other people that I love who are in heaven now. Life is short, no matter how long you live. And before I know it, I'm just going to see him again. And God has all the bases covered, and I can wait. And everything will be good.